Mayor Ken Boshkoff reacts to some newly announced provincial measures to crack down on homeless encampments. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. Steep fines and threats of prison time. Ontario Premier Doug Ford announced today that the government will introduce new measures to combat public drug use in encampments.
People who repeatedly use illegal drugs in public spaces could face fines up to $10,000 and even 6 months in prison. Brendan Miller brings us the reaction.
A strong message from the province in its response to homelessness.
Enough is enough. This has to stop, and it will stop.
Premier Doug Ford was joined by a number of Ontario mayors Thursday as he echoed their plea to tackle the issues of encampments and drug use. In response, Ford announced that people living in encampments using drugs publicly could face $10,000 fines and 6 months in prison. The government will also provide $50 million to create more long-term affordable housing units across the province.
Everyone here knows solving the homeless crisis, ending encampments, it starts with more shelter space and roofs over people's heads. That's why we're investing $75.5 million to further support homelessness prevention and provide people living in encampments with access to alternative accommodation.
But as a deterrent, I think maybe it sends a message that the government is serious about supporting municipalities.
Thunder Bay Mayor Ken Boshkoff welcomes the funding announced, saying any amount will benefit the city's response to homelessness and drug use.
That would be part of it. I would think it comes at the right time. And secondly, with the building homes faster and the fact that we have a task force already mobilized means I think that we could vault into this a little quicker than some other cities. So we're ready to go.
The legislation for Ford's new encampment and drug use response was introduced Thursday. But there's no time frame for when it'll pass as the legislature enters its winter break. Brendan Miller, TBT News.
The Premier has also responded to U.S. tariff threats with threats of his own.
Ford says he'll consider cutting off power to northern U.S. states if Donald Trump follows through with the tariffs. CTV's Siobhan Morris has the details.
It's a threat the Premier maintains is a last resort in a burgeoning trade war.
That's the last thing we want to do. Would we do it? Let's wait and see.
The possibility of cutting off a supply of power from Ontario to 3 U.S. states if Donald Trump follows through on his threat of 25% tariffs on Canadian goods.
We can't just roll over as we're being under attack and hurting our families and our jobs.
Stopping the sale of power, one of the options in the province that helps keep the lights on for 1.5 million American homes.
It's not an insignificant sum. It's hundreds of millions of dollars worth of valuable energy that they could not secure in a matter of months.
Opening the New York Stock Exchange, the U.S. president-elect unbothered by the Premier's power posturing.
That's okay if he does that, that's fine, but the United States is subsidizing Canada. It's truly a subsidy, and we shouldn't have to do that.
There are questions about which side of the border would really suffer.
It's just a tiny fraction of the electricity that the United States uses, but it's a big fraction of our revenue.
That's right.
The threat of withholding power, not one other premiers are signing up for.
I won't threat Donald not to send electricity.
Under no circumstances will Alberta agree to cut off oil and gas exports.
We have no interest in stopping the flow of oil and gas.
Opposition parties aren't sure Doug Ford is striking quite the right tone.
I think that conversation negotiations go a lot farther than saber rattling.
When the Premier goes rogue and starts throwing things out, threats like he just did today, I don't think it helps.
The Premier has insisted there is a fight coming when Trump takes office, one Ontario has to be ready for.
And that was Siobhan Morris reporting. After a number of revisions, a new bylaw will be presented to City Council on Monday that would allow gardens to be planted on city-owned boulevards. The changes come after some community pushback against the original bylaw and feedback from horticultural groups. The revisions include raising the maximum height of the gardens to 1 meter, permitting the most garden boxes, and allowing planting in setback areas closest to the street and sidewalk. If approved Monday, the bylaw will come into effect next spring. City Climate Action Specialist Danielle Tom believes the adjusted bylaw addresses the majority of resident concerns.
Reaching about 60 to 70% of those asks through the amendments that we've made. We're not always going to make everyone happy. There is a lot of interested groups in this, including city and utility assets and public safety. So we're trying to meet that middle ground where we're allowing for as much biodiversity, as much planting as possible, while still keeping folks safe.
Tax levy.
Given that Monday's meeting is the last one of 2024, the bylaw will be up for ratification in the new year if it's approved.
Confederation College and Ornge have announced expanded eligibility for the Northern Air Ambulance Award, which provides students money to try to keep them here in the Northwest after they graduate. Since 2009, more than 65 aviation students have benefited from the annual award, which includes up to 15 entrance grants of at least $1,000 and up to 15 in-program awards of $1,500 each. Now, paramedic and nursing students will also be eligible. Matthew Hill, a first-year aviation flight management student, received Ornge's Westland bursary. He says it's made him consider local companies like Ornge as he plans for his future.
It definitely is. Yeah, no, it's a super cool company. I would love to fly here. Super cool people. They have cool planes, and I love the just the work and how just like unexpected it is. You get to just fly from here, like from Dryden to just you don't know where you're going every day. So super cool.
Good, and that's actually the intention of the award. So the intention is to find like Northern Ontario residents, including Indigenous students, that want to learn in the North and stay in the North. So they'll go to, once they're completed their education in Confederation, hopefully they consider a career with Ornge so that they can, again, work in Northern Ontario and help support Northern Ontario communities.
Representatives from 24 Northern First Nations and other organizations made their way to Thunder Bay yesterday to celebrate the completion of the Watay power transmission system.
The project has been 17 years in the making and wrapped up construction this spring. Justin Hardy has the story.
Celebrating a $1.9 billion transmission project that began in 2007. Groups from around the region got together to recognize the completion of the Watay power transmission system. It stretches along an 800-kilometer arc to communities north of Red Lake and Pickle Lake that previously could only rely on diesel power. Construction of the line was officially completed by Ballard Construction in May. President Kerry Kostick says it was a massive project with quite a few obstacles.
Well, it happened during COVID, and we had this, the significant forest fire for a period in the region. So, large, tough project, but really exciting. We have a great workforce that were committed and dedicated. They worked in tough situations. They worked in isolation, particularly during COVID, and we're very proud of our workforce that got this job done on time.
This is a massive feat of engineering and of tenacity and of hard work from everyone who's participated. You're talking about 1,800 kilometers of line. Every single foot of that connection had to be work that was done, and many of those workers, the 5,000 workers, so many of them were local Indigenous workers who really poured their heart and soul into this project.
The transmission system is majority owned by a partnership of 24 First Nations, including the 17 communities to be connected to the line. Wapakika was one of the last of the communities to celebrate its new connection to the provincial power grid, and community member Zach Tate said it's amazing to have been able to watch the entire process.
When I was young, I heard stories about this project starting up, and they had a lot of options back then, and then finally our First Nations took initiative, and I was very glad that they did, and with the initiatives that they have taken, and with successfully completing the project, this line is very good for us.
All Watay Nikanaya power assets are energized with only a few more communities awaiting full grid connection. Justin Hardy, TBT News.
The United Way of Thunder Bay is getting a big boost this holiday season. Memorial Home Hardware will match all donations to the charity up to $10,000 until New Year's Eve. The Fort William Male Choir, not to mention a surprise visit from Santa himself, highlighted the kickoff of Memorial Home Hardware's donation challenge. This commitment marks 60 years of the group's bringing hope home for the holidays, as they say. It's part of United Way's effort to inspire the public to support community programs this holiday season. The goal is to raise $60,000.
What we're doing is we're supporting the United Way, which is a fantastic organization in Thunder Bay. We're matching donations. We're accepting donations at the store, so we're matching donations up to $10,000, dollar for dollar, to help the people of Thunder Bay. Home Hardware has been in Canada for 60 years. United Way of Thunder Bay has been here for 60 years, so it's kind of a neat little anniversary. So we're really hoping for 60.
So they want to challenge all of us, our community, to come together and raise $60,000 between now and December 31st, with Memorial Home Hardware matching the first $10,000. So we're, also selling these beautiful home for the holiday ornaments at the cashiers at Memorial Home Hardware. You can donate any amount, and that amount will be matched.
Additional donations can be made at the United Way office or website.
Habitat for Humanity celebrated the completion of its 40th brand new home today.
That means another local family was handed the keys to a house, providing them with a well-earned new start. Riley Cohen reports.
Received the keys to their newly renovated 5-bedroom home, supported by Habitat for Humanity. This once aging structure has been beautifully restored to meet the modern standards thanks to the incredible generosity of local businesses, volunteers, and community partners. It was an emotional experience for all who attended, as a true community effort gave the Martins a place to call home.
This is one of the most emotionally expressive examples of how great a community we have. This house is a home. It's, this family is now going to have a really decent life ahead. And the fact that it's a community effort really, not just the Christmas season, but it shows you what our city can do.
Michael and Candace Martin, along with their 4 daughters, couldn't contain their emotions and excitement as they embarked on this new chapter of their lives. The kids were full of energy, running from room to room, with daughter Riley even giving us a sneak peek of her favorite new hiding spot in the house. It's a moment of pure joy and anticipation for this growing family.
So we don't have to rent no more. Like, we went from a limbrick fire last year to being in a hotel for a month and finding out we got this in May, and it's just going to change everything. Well, they never had their own room until now, so it means a lot to them to not have to share it.
Thanks to the collective effort, a wonderful family now has a stable, warm, and affordable home. This marks the organization's 40th house built and is a powerful testament to the incredible impact the community can have on families in need, as they ensured a brighter, more hopeful future for the Martin family. Habitat for Humanity Thunder Bay CEO Lana Vukelik couldn't be more thrilled with the success of this project.
They were so excited. I mean, hearing that you get to have your own room, that's like, oh my God, And their living quarters right now are substantially different. So to hear that, it's a major happiness, achievement. And it just makes you want to work more.
Riley Cohen, TBT News.
That really is so lovely to see a family home for the holidays too, at perfect timing. And I know a lot of people, Fiona, will want to be home tonight, staying away from those cold temperatures.
Yeah, I cannot wait to get home and get into the fuzzy pajamas. This was just entirely too cold. Mother Nature needs to pick a side because it has been incredibly mild all fall into winter. And all of a sudden, somebody turned on the sub-zero temperatures. We had an overnight low of -24, wind chills of -36. And during the day, we warmed up to -18. But again, the story is the wind chill, because the wind chill still got making it feel like -30. And that's as warm as it got, with winds gusting 23 to 49 kilometers per hour. So the sunshine we got, really, you couldn't enjoy it unless you did so from the inside of your home, looking out your window. Now, the cold temperature is definitely being felt throughout the region, but more so to the west. Fort Frances had a wind chill of -42 at about 9 a.m. this morning, so you got a feel for folks to the west. Under cloudy skies, they currently have temperatures of -21, but wind chills of -31. Similar wind chills, maybe slightly milder, heading up into Red Lake, where they've had snow and drifting snow all day. A little bit further eastward into Greenstone, they're currently at -18 and a wind chill of -26. They've had snow most of the afternoon, and then you can see things getting even milder still as you head through Wawa at -14. -8 in Sault Ste. Marie, although the wind chill makes it feel like -20. Boy, there's a difference there. And they are also dealing with the threat of snow squalls because of the wind off the lake. So visibility is going to be pretty nasty overnight tonight. As we look at Thunder Bay for tonight, well, it's going to be another cold one. Increasing clouds. There's just a very slight chance of a few more flurries overnight, but the big thing is going to be the wind chill and risk of frostbite if you have pets. Do not leave them outside for any length of time except to do their business and then bring them back in. If you've got kids, let's suggest that they play indoors. -22 and wind chills of -30. Winds will be a little bit gusty to start, up to 50 km, but they will be tapering off after midnight down to about 20, but still cold enough that it's going to be very chilly for the next 24 hours still. So tomorrow's going to be another cold one. Here's the good news, although it's kind of odd news. Temperatures are on the rise for the weekend, but there's a chance of rain. I don't know what to say about that, but
throw it into the mix.
I'll explain that later on in the news hour.
Yeah, a little bit odd. I got to say, Fiona, ever since you mentioned fuzzy pajamas, I've been thinking about how quickly I can climb into my own. And
the ones with the feet.
Yeah, be warm inside the house. Can't wait for that. All right, well, after the break, we will have more on one of the big stories that we've been following today, that is Premier Doug Ford's threat of retaliation to Donald Trump's tariffs that we've been talking about now for weeks. That's right on the other side of the break. Stay with us.
We're going to use every tool in our toolbox to defend Ontarians and Canadians across the border.